What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with MMA community furious with Dana White for interview. While Conor McGregor announced that he and Michael Chandler will be fighting in June, that doesn't appear to be the case. Since McGregor's announcement, Dana White has indicated that no official date has been set, something he recently doubled down on this week during an appearance on the Pat McAfee show.
Eventually, yeah. Hopefully this year.
No, I heard we got a date. We didn't have a date. Chandler's pushing for a date. People are pushing for a date. Conor said he knows a date. Everybody has a date. You're the guy that got to set the date. You should say the date.
There is no date.
Come on, Dana.
I'm hoping for the fall. We get it done in the fall.
While many seem to be of the mindset that McGregor is holding up negotiations, back in October, the former two-division champ was pleading for a fight while speaking with MMA Junkie, something Mike Bond drew attention to following White's recent comments. At the time, McGregor said,
March is earlier than April. I've been kept from my living for almost 3 years now. Understand that. I came through what I came through. I'm sitting on an injury and a loss. You imagine you hear what Alexander Volkanovski said. I relate. You know what I'm saying? I must return to my way of living. This is my job. So it's beyond frustrating.
The MMA community was quick to react to the news, with Ariel Helwani theorizing,
"Trust me when I tell you he has 2 fights left. That's not a coincidence. It's good to have him around as you're negotiating new TV deals and pay-per-view deals, etc. They are going to drag. This is going to turn into the Nate Diaz thing all over again. There's no reason why this guy shouldn't be at 300. There's no reason why he shouldn't be in June. Let's see if he ends up being in June. But what are we doing here? He's ready to go. He has told us this. He is ready to go. Why are you icing him?"
John Nash drew attention to the details of McGregor's contract, writing, "Based on when McGregor signed his last contract, fall 2018 for UFC 229, he should have the following provisions in his contract. If correct, his contract should have sunsetted last fall year, but it's possible he retired in order to medicate, which means 4.4 would kick in." As popular MMA Twitter user Grabaka Hitman wrote, "So it's not USADA and it's not his leg. There has to be more to this. Chandler's just wasting years of his career he'll never get back. I believe Conor is fighting again when I see it." Marcel Dorf added, "First, hopefully this year, 15 seconds later, hopefully we get it done in the fall. I understand Chandler wants to wait and secure the bag, might consider to let it go. As long as there is no Conor signature on the contract, he and the UFC can still go another way." Luke Thomas added, "Michael Chandler last competed in November 2022, meaning at age 37, he'll have been away from the octagon for approximately 2 years." Despite the pessimism surrounding White's comments, one MMA community member believes we can read between the lines for further clarity regarding the matter. He said for Conor versus Chandler, there may be plans for Conor to fight someone else before Chandler. So far, there's been no response from McGregor regarding White's comments. However, based on his October comments, he likely isn't happy. Next up, let's take a look at Dricus du Plessis reveals next UFC fight. Since Dricus du Plessis' big win over Sean Strickland earlier this year, it has remained clear that a fight with Israel Adesanya is at the top of his wish list. While there was optimism around the fight taking place at UFC 300, it sounds as though there's still quite a bit up in the air. Despite du Plessis' desire to compete on the historic card, he's made it clear that his priority is making sure that he goes into his next fight at 100% rather than rushing to compete on the historic UFC 300 card in April. Speaking in a recent interview on South African radio station Jacaranda FM, he opened up on the situation.
Yeah, 100%. I think UFC 300 obviously going to be a milestone event. I think it's going to be great, and I would love to be part of that, but not if it's going to mean that I'm not going to be fully recovered or I'm going to defending my title is much more important to me than being on this milestone event. And then of course the real milestone event will be UFC in Africa, and more importantly South Africa. I can't even explain to you how long are we willing to wait to make that happen and defend my belt on home soil. I think, and that's history.
Although there's been no word as to when the UFC would be targeting a potential event in Africa, it's no secret that a bout between du Plessis and Adesanya anywhere in Africa would do massive numbers. Next up, let's take a look at Ian Garry goes off on Rampage Jackson. During Rampage Jackson's recent appearance on the MMA Hour, he brought up undefeated contender Ian Garry leading up to the Irish Star's upcoming fight with Jeff Neal. As he alleged, Garry didn't want to go on the Jackson podcast initially for fear of being mocked by Rampage, who then spoke about Garry during his MMA Hour appearance. The MMA legend then learned that his comments regarding whether or not Garry's wife has a boyfriend who lives with them were inaccurate. In a video posted to social media, Garry indicated that he was in fact scheduled to go on the Jackson podcast, but wouldn't be after hearing Rampage's comments. He unloaded on Rampage in response.
He didn't even know my name, and he's like asking Ariel, does his wife really have a boyfriend? No, you tick. No, because you're believing absolute bollocks and lies from other people. Imagine running a podcast and not knowing who your next guest was. Imagine being that stupid and then going on Ariel and speaking about it. Well, I can tell you one thing. Yeah, definitely not having me on now because you're a idiot and chatting mad. Good luck, take care.
Rampage then attempted to clear the air in a video of his own on social media.
To Ian Garry, you know what I'm saying? I do feel bad because he don't know me. He never met me. He probably didn't even, you know, see my fights or whatever. He don't know my personality. He don't know that I just be joking. But it's all love, man. I love all y'all, man. Bad respect to everybody.
So far, no response yet from Garry. However, it sounds like the podcast appearance is off. Next, let's take a look at UFC Fight updates. Heading into this weekend's Hermansson vs. Pyfer card, there have been some changes to the card, as well as the upcoming UFC 298 card. And finally, a newly reported fight added to UFC 301. Without further ado, let's jump right in, with a few changes to this weekend's Hermansson vs. Pyfer card, starting with Robert Whittaker receiving a new opponent for his middleweight bout after Albert Duraev was pulled from the fight due to visa issues. In his absence, Ihor Portieria will be stepping in on short notice in the hopes of snapping a two-fight skid. In addition, Damir Hadzovic has been removed from his lightweight bout with Balaji Oki as a result of visa issues, with Dana White's Contender Series alum Timothy Kwamba stepping in on short notice in hopes of picking up his first win inside the octagon. Reports have also indicated that Melsik Bagdasaryan has been removed from his featherweight bout this weekend due to injury, with Fernie Garcia stepping in on short notice to fight Haider Amil. Next weekend, the UFC 298 pay-per-view card will proceed without Tresean Gore after he was forced out of his fight with AJ Dobson. So far, no word yet on what the UFC has in store for Dobson. However, he did indicate on his Instagram story that he would have fight news soon. Last but certainly not least in the way of fight updates, reports have indicated that Diani Barboza will fight Ernesta Carrascaite at UFC 301 on May 4th in a flyweight bout that will see Barboza look to pick up a win in her UFC debut after Dana White's Contender Series win in September. On the flip side, Carrascaite will be looking to build on her undefeated professional record, which recently saw her pick up a victory of her own on Dana White's Contender Series back in September. Next, let's take a look at Paulo Costa will pull out of his fight against Robert Whittaker. After missing out on a potential fight against Khamzat Chimaev and his previous fight with Robert Whittaker falling through, Paulo Costa will look to make a successful return to the octagon at UFC 298 when he finally faces off with the former middleweight champion. Heading into the bout, however, Triple C Henry Cejudo still isn't convinced that Costa will make it to fight night. Speaking in a video for his YouTube channel, he questioned Costa's commitment to competing against Whittaker while also weighing in on the middleweight fight, taking the co-main event spot at UFC 298.
And sometimes you don't know if he's going to show up or not. You don't know. I don't even know if he's going to show up, honestly, UFC 298. I really don't. I'm even surprised at UFC. I thought we were the co-main event, but I'm surprised that they made them the co-main event because with Paulo, you just don't know. Staff, something. I mean, of course, things always happen, but it's just too much, guys. He's had 5 canceled fights since 2021.
For his part, Costa has maintained that he and Whittaker will fight at UFC 298 regardless of what the skeptics have to say. According to UFC.com, Dvalishvili and Cejudo will be the second fight on the main card, with Jeff Neal and Ian Garry competing after them, before Whittaker and Costa then compete in the co-main event. Next, let's take a look at Tom Aspinall calls out Alex Pereira for UFC 300. Rather than sit on the sidelines waiting for the John Jones vs. Stipe Miocic fight to play out, Tom Aspinall is eager to remain active and defend his interim title. With the door closed on a fight with Stipe Miocic in the meantime, the expectation is that Aspinall will defend his interim belt over the summer when the UFC heads to Manchester. However, he's still interested in competing on the UFC 300 card if the opportunity presents itself. In a video posted on his TikTok account, Aspinall indicated that if a fight against Alex Pereira comes his way, he's prepared to accept.
On my end, I've heard nothing so far. As I've said plenty of times before, I'm not one to turn down fights. I'm not particularly looking for that fight. but if it's available and they offer it to me, I will take it.
Just ready to fight, aren't you?
I'm ready to fight, mate. There's been a lot of shouts about who I should fight next, and I'm ready to fight, so let me know. Simple as that, just let me know who and where. And
Aspinall also notably posted a story on his Instagram account showing flights from London to Vegas for the UFC 300 card, along with Alex Pereira's signature stone face emoji, further indicating that he's willing to accept the fight should it come his way. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at Dana White text messages get leaked again. As part of the ongoing antitrust lawsuit against the UFC, which will see the Lee v. Zuffa case head to trial in April, a number of text messages and internal communications among members of the UFC brass have continued to be made public. Last year, for example, text messages between Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta saw the pair call Jon Jones several obscenities. Now, a text from Fertitta sent to White on the heels of Bellator booking a bout between Tito Ortiz and Quentin Rampage Jackson back in 2013 has leaked. In it, Fertitta writes, "I thought they don't take UFC castoffs." In a deposition part of the ongoing antitrust suit, White was asked about the text, and in response, he took aim at Scott Coker after being asked if the UFC viewed Ortiz and Jackson as castoffs, as Fertitta indicated. That's Scott Coker's MO. Scott Coker doesn't build anybody, right? He doesn't turn anybody into stars. He just takes old names and recycles them. He's a very, very bad promoter. Very bad at what he does. The individual asking the questions then pointed out that the UFC had acquired some notable fighters such as Ronda Rousey from Strikeforce, which was led by Coker. As White countered, when you have Ronda Rousey and you can't turn her into a star, you should probably go open a restaurant or something. With the suit headed to trial in April, expect more and more information to continue to come to light. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.